welcome to we're going to do a different episode of Sexy Marriage Radio today. So alongside my daughter, Sydney, we're going to do a show about looking at marriage and relationships, more importantly, just kind of relationships, but across the generations. So our 20-year-old daughter is joining me on the show. So Sydney, it's so good to see you sitting here on the microphone with me.
Hello.
And so we're just going to talk through what's it like for a 20-year-old in relationships. And then what's it like for a 32-year married old in relationships?
You don't want to drop the actual age?
Oh, it's 54. I'll totally own where I am in age. My 50s have been the best decade of my life.
There you go.
Health-wise and overall fitness-wise.
You're not even halfway through.
I love what, as you would say, I'm speeding up downhill because we're over 50.
Oh, we've had this conversation. You hit 50 in the downhill.
It's rolling really fast. Absolutely. But we're just going to have a casual conversation about looking at relationships through two different generations. And not because either of us have it figured out, but because it's the idea of things and seasons change. And so what's the two different perspectives? So we figure that could be a really fun dialogue. We'll see where this thing goes. Yeah. So all that's coming up right after this. So as we go into the show, Sid, 20-year-old,
yes,
a junior at the University of Kansas,
yes.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, in a relationship. You've been in relationships also from high school to today. I mean, there's been
off and on.
This is not a new occurrence,
yep.
Right? And so, but you're 2.5 full years away from home.
Yeah.
Right. I'm mathing correct.
I think that's right.
Then what we're going to do is just kind of talk through some of these aspects of relationship dynamics, and just so the audience understands where we're going. This is what's it like for a 20-year-old. How do you see it? And then we'll also, how do I see it? So it's not necessarily a father-daughter thing.
Yeah.
It's also a generational thing.
Or like an age thing.
Right. So did you just call me old? I think you did.
I call you that even off the air.
That's true. It's true. You do. Okay. So we'll start with this first question, Sid. This one's for you. What has dating taught you about yourself already?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I enjoy being around people and I enjoy having a specific person, but sometimes I can get dependent on that and like having a one focused, like, this is my person, when it's like you have a lot of people in your life. It's not necessarily just happiness, or experiences are not just focused on this one person, but it can also be a person that is designated for having experiences with, making memories with. And so it's definitely something where I have learned a lot in dating, and then also not dating for periods of time, how to be okay with just myself, and then also incorporate another person in that, and that kind of balance of maybe I do need some alone time. Maybe I don't need to be around a person today, but it's also a nice person to be around and someone you ideally enjoy spending time with.
Right.
And yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing it's taught me. And then I can take things personally sometimes when there's like tone shifts or arguments. And
it's so difficult sometimes when we get caught up in this realization that they say things different.
Oh yeah.
That I can interpret personally.
Oh yeah.
When in a lot of times it's just them being them.
Yeah.
Without actually an attack being attached to it.
Absolutely. Because there's so many times that the guy that I'm dating right now, he is a very just kind of like straightforward tone person. And with how I was raised by you two and just people I'm around, sometimes when people give me that tone, it's because they're upset with me. But with him, it's just him telling me something. And so I'm having to learn, like, no, this is just us discussing something. He's not like mad at me.
It's just conflict.
It's just conversation sometimes even. It's not even conflict. So that's also something I've learned, is like how to read tone without taking it too personally, because I do that a lot. But I'd say asking you back, what has marriage taught you about yourself?
So 32 years in, because I've been with your mom, for 37 as far as dating goes. A lot of the same things. It seems like as soon as you figure something out, it seems to repeat on a different level, sometimes deeper. Early on, it taught me that I can be incredibly short-sighted and selfish because it's just what I want.
Yeah.
It's just what matters to me. And I forget whatever the impact is on people that I think I care about. So it's understanding that it reveals so much of me. But then lately, probably the last decade, has taught me I'm blind to a lot of things. I don't see a lot of things that really are impactful from me on other people, of a curtness, a dismissiveness, a timidness, a something that it really does have impact on people. And I've been blind to a lot of things. And so it's a constant evolution of exposure, if you will, that as soon as I feel like that Pam and I have something figured out,
something new comes up.
One of us changes, some circumstance happens or something, and it changes the whole dynamic. And that is a weird, it's like what you're seeing now with tone and all these, same thing.
Okay.
Can still happen. It's a round 42 of it, maybe.
Supposed to round one for me.
Right. Well, but even that, you're going to have, it's a cyclical nature, because it's a constant refining process, which is one of the things we love here at Sexy Marriage Radio. Is that's the point. We think marriage is designed to help us just grow up, to expose things in us.
I had a conversation with a friend recently that her and her boyfriend are getting near engagement, and it's this kind of repeated argument that they're having. And she's like, I don't want to keep having this argument. And I had to be real with her. I was like, you guys will get married eventually, and then it'll just be another argument you're repeating constantly. Like that cycle doesn't change, which is something I'm also learning. I've seen in you and Mom, but I'm also learning myself now too. Of like, there's always something that you're working on or conflicting over, that kind of, it's cycles on cycles on cycles.
Yes. Okay. So let's switch to a little bit of a different content.
Okay.
Of sitting here at 20 years old, what does commitment look like at your age?
I think it's some of my initial response to this is there's two different facets to it in the way that I read it. There's like the community I'm in at KU, in my campus ministry, in my church, in my friend group. Commitment is, being loyal to your friends, or specifically in relationships, it's you're dating to marry, and you're dating to solidify like a permanent commitment in the eyes of God, the church, however you want to put it. And then there's the bubble outside of that that's like, commitment is just, oh yeah, I'm dating this person, and morally I shouldn't go and see someone else while I'm dating this person. Okay. But I've also seen a lot of fear of commitment in people my age, of just like, oh, I want to date this person, like I want to go out with them, I want to go to dinner or go to these events with them. But putting a title on it is like some of the most terrifying thing to some people my age. It's insane. The classmates I'll talk to that are like, yeah, I'm having sex with this guy, but we're not dating. And it's like, what on earth is that? Right. And so I think in the circle that I'm in, commitment is, once you find that person you want to pursue, you commit to that, and you're focused on that. You're sacrificing for that. You're driven for that. But I also see a lot of the flip side of it. And college is kind of this like more confined, almost like petri dish of it. Cause I don't think that's a very accurate read, but like what I'm seeing is a lot of people that are like, I like this guy, I'm talking to him, but I don't want to commit and like make him my boyfriend or anything. Right. Or there's couples that I know that have put the title on it, but have been dating for like 4 years and don't want to have the commitment of getting married. And
so is it almost like a restrictive thing?
Yeah, it's like commitment is, from my perception, can be sometimes viewed as something that you like lose your independence in, or you lose like freedom of choice in, or whatever, which I don't ever read that way, because if you're committing to a person, all that you're also committing to do is just not seeing other people. That it doesn't restrict you from anything else for the most part. There's obviously there's nuances to it, but the way that I've seen it a lot is people want to still have their freedom to do whatever. And so they will avoid committing to relationships because it reduces that or whatever it might be, which I don't understand sometimes even as a 20-year-old. But yeah, I mean, I'm also only dating. So what does it look like in marriage? Because I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think you could take it a little more intense because even research, I'll go therapist that for a second. Even research talks about cohabitating couples that can have a fear of adding a marriage license to it and the marriage label to it because it even feels another level of commitment, which adds a different level of intensity and importance or impact or what have you. And so there's something weird about that thing. But to me, looking at it on a personal level, commitment, I came into this with Pam and it was evident early on we were gonna make it. As far as this, she was the one I wanted to do and commit to. And I also came into relationships even from way before your age of dating with a little bit of a purpose, not just for having fun. And I mean, it's also to learn a lot of things. Looking back I had no idea, but it was just, you're figuring stuff out. And then when I started dating Pam, it was this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of became you just keep going and then you're in it and it's a commitment. And so to me, commitment it's what keeps you in it when it's difficult, because it's a commitment I've made. But what's fascinating to me looking back at it now at 54 is, yes, I've made a commitment to Pam. Yes, I've made a commitment to God in the covenant of marriage. But yes, I've also made a commitment to myself to show up in this relationship as myself and being willing to grow and learn and evolve, to be challenged by my wife because she sees things different. And frankly, my wife, she pretty much doesn't tolerate laziness in the sense of just kind of coasting and not taking care of life, not being somebody that follows through on what you say, not being somebody that has a standard and a moral.
Her child, she calls you on it.
So, but it's an element of, she requires more of me, just like I require more of her. That's the commitment of, I see it as it's something that I'm committed to constantly being a better version of me, for me and for her. And it's usually in that order. And that's a different structure I would have never had way before.
It's something that, like, I've been raised with you and Mom kind of instilling that in me of you work on yourself and everything, like whatever overflows from your cup is what fills into everything else. I've had that, I think, drilled into me since I was like 12, Okay. But when I talk to people around me, it's a flipped thing at my age. It's people, it's like, no, I'm going to pour into this person I'm dating, these persons I'm friends with, and focusing so much on that you lose yourself in that. I did that just myself in dating relationships. I would focus so much on guys that I was with that it was like, when the relationship ended, I was a total mess. I didn't know what to do. And having to learn, especially taking time away from dating and focusing on.
Because you did a year-long sabbatical.
Whole year-long sabbatical of dating. And happened to meet the guy I'm with now in that, but it was still like a focus on myself and focus on God and where I was with God. That shift in that of realizing, like, finally it clicking, what overflows from your cup is what fills everything else up. It is not, you can't take from inside your cup to pour into other things because then you're just empty. It has to be the overflow.
Right.
That has really kind of shifted how I handle any relationships I'm in, dating or friendships, because it's a lot more focus on, like, I need to make sure I'm okay mentally, because then.
So how do you do that? Because that goes to the next question we're having. As a 20-year-old in a relationship, how do you do that by maintaining self? How do you keep a good relationship with yourself at 20?
Some of mine is just like, some of how I do it is just like the habits I have of, like, I really like my alone time.
Yep.
I am an alone time person. You know this, you raised
ever
me.
Since infant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I very much value my sleep, my alone time. And so when I have opportunities for that, especially because I have a lot that I do just in school with classes and my campus ministry and my jobs. And so when I have the opportunity for alone time, I've gotten a lot better speaking up of like, hey, I want an evening to myself at my apartment, reading my book, cleaning, reading my Bible, like whatever it might be, just time to myself to reset, to rest. And then consistent habits just in kind of my spiritual life with reading my Bible, going to church with my boyfriend, but also making sure I'm there to gain for myself, not for something else. Those have kind of been my big two. And then in incorporating a relationship in that, we have every Sunday afternoon is our designated time to hang out with each other. And it's not meant for anyone else. That's like when we're together,
Okay.
and it makes it a lot more intentional for the two of us. And so it's not this weird balance of, well, you're spending more time with your friends than me. And it kind of negates that argument a little bit of, we do have this designated time. And then we also have designated time apart from each other with friends, with ourselves, with God. And so it's kind of just been how I balance my schedule is how I figured how to best take care of myself.
Yeah, there's a logistic component to it for sure. Sure.
So that's the best answer I could give you.
That's a good one because it's, I mean, from someone on the sidelines watching you and the disciplines you have, it's impressive. I take the time to do quiet time in the morning, or I take a day to just, I'm vegging and working on my scrapbook or reading a book, or that's very impressive because it's like, I need to be aware of me and what I want, what I need.
How do you and mom balance that in marriage? Since you
live
with
me.
You live with each other.
Yeah,
so how does that?
I'll speak to me. So a lot of it becomes the logistics of how do I make sure I find time to do the things that matter to me, but also be aware of the impact it'll have, because any choice I choose because of the jobs we have, particularly mom during tax season, any choice I make could impact precious time I might have with her. And so when I have guys over for time around a fire, I realize that could be an evening I'm going to miss with her. And that's something I weigh. I mean, I care about, because it's like, but I also know I need that time with dudes and kind of just what speaks to my heart. And it's the same kind of thing with running. I usually do it early in the morning, right? When she's sometimes not even awake, I'll get up and go and come back by the time she's getting around, and we get a little bit of time. But it's just, the pressure sometimes can seem more intense the further you get into it. But I also realize I've changed on what I care about differently than what I used to. So some of the things, not as concerned about, I haven't gone to go do that in a while. I was like, yeah, well, kind of seems to be what I was. It's not who I am. Yeah. And so it's a constant issue, because we all need other support circles, not just a spouse, because sometimes we put too much expectation on a partner or a spouse that they can't fulfill that. It's too many roles. And that goes right into the next question. Look at that. We teed it right up. What do you think people your age expect from a partner?
Oh my gosh. Shall I just bullet point the list?
Let's give a highlight. Just some highlights. We don't have that kind of time.
From just how I have been in the past with some of the unspoken expectations or even spoken expectations, it's like someone who can carry all of your emotional weight, which is an outrageous ask, because sometimes we can't even carry our own emotional weight.
Because that's that statement you made earlier of, they're my person.
Yeah.
So they should take care of all of me
right.
in some ways.
That is such a lie, because they are also a person. They might be your person, but they are also a person, and they have their own emotional weights and things. No, I think it can be a lot of the expectations. I think for me, and what I hear from people around me, is there's this reality acceptance you have to have with they are not perfect.
Like a broken person in a fallen world.
Yeah,
really?
It's like breaking news to some 20-year-olds, but it is really this, and I have to come to grips with this sometimes, because it's, I'm a sinner, I make mistakes, but they are too, and sometimes those mistakes might hurt me. That doesn't mean it's intentional.
Yeah.
And also not having the expectation of, they can't read your mind. he doesn't know what I'm thinking. I am aware that I have a complex mind. Not a lot of people know what I'm thinking. I'll tell you oftentimes, but that doesn't mean you can.
I think sometimes you don't even know what you're thinking.
Sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking. And so I can't expect someone to know what I'm thinking when I don't know what I'm thinking. But having that expectation is one that I have sometimes, because you see so much marketed these relationships that people, it's like, we're just on the same wavelength all the time and you always know what I need. And that's not the reality. And that is one that I think I have told a lot of my friends and have to remind myself, because you have told me this: marriage doesn't solve the problems, it makes them worse. Like, you don't get married and magically everything is better. No, you're living with this person now. You're going to get even more.
Well, see, now you understand. Now you fully get where I have made the statement for you and your brother when you both started dating, just whoever it was at whatever stage. One of two things will happen. You will either break up
or get married,
or you will marry them. And they're both just different kinds of pain and hurt and struggle. Well, that's the only difference. It's just a different kind of pain or hurt.
Which I told Nick that, and he thought it was an insane statement at first. Then when we talked through it, he was like, no, wait, that's really accurate.
I'm signing on to be committed to some grief in marriage. That's going to happen.
Because you're either you break up and you're not with them, or you're married and you're living with them and getting used to their annoying habits and quirks, and also just you're sharing a bed, sharing a space with them, but sharing a life with them. And things happen in life personally that affect the person you're dating or you're married to. Yeah. And but no, I think that like perfection expectation is one that is, I see a lot.
So would you phrase it as the person I see and perceive when we're dating is actually who they are?
Yeah. It's like person.
It's rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. It's like the person I had a crush on of they're cute in this way and they do this that's nice. And this one flaw that they might have doesn't really matter to me.
Oh, and so that tees it up perfectly. Rose-colored glasses. If you're wearing rose-colored glasses, a red flag just looks like a flag.
Yeah, no, it does. And I will fully own that I would not take my rose-colored glasses off for long periods of time. Sometimes I will fully own that. And I think a lot of people my age are in that same kind of category of, it's also this belief of there might not be anything better afterward. Like if you break up with this person because you take the glasses off and you see the red, it's like, but if there's nothing else better, like this might be the best I get.
Which is so sad.
It is so sad, because I used to be of that mindset and now I'm not, and I'm very glad that I'm not.
But you know why it's so sad, as I think of it at least, is because it's diminishing of yourself to think that, you know what? I could be better even from this bad relationship because I became better. Yeah. And I could never be in another relationship and still be so much better.
Yeah. It's also in like mentoring freshmen, when I hear girls saying this, it's like, it hurts my heart some because of the like lack of self-confidence or self-worth that it might be coming from. But it's also, there's like a doubting of the Lord's plan for you in it. And I'm like, the Lord always works things out for good. There's always something.
He's faithful, and he shows up in our choices, and he blesses our choices. So
it's not always what we want, but it does always end up for the good and glory of the Lord.
You're correct.
And he's faithful with that. Yeah, there's so many convoluted things.
It is. So let me just jump to what it's like with a spouse.
Yes, please.
Some of that continues just because we're still involved. There's common denominators here.
Yeah.
Right, that 20-year-old is still sitting across the mic from you as a 54-year-old, because there's still elements of that I want to cling to, because it's the Hollywood, it's the Hallmark, it's the Disneyland version of what I wish we were in an animatronic, easy life. But
easy lives are boring.
No, absolutely it would be. And so it's what do married people often expect from a spouse that maybe they shouldn't? And that's the Jerry Maguire, they complete me, that they should read my mind, that even though we've been together for 32 years, you should know. And what I'm landing lately is she does know. She doesn't care. And that's a different gut level hit of like, how do I make sense of that? Because the fact that she doesn't care isn't an indictment or a negative. It's just that she's different. It matters different to her. It doesn't speak the same to her. That's the reality of who we are as people. And so it's realizing that man, this has a whole different connotation than what I thought, because it's that idea of my spouse is not going to be everything. They're not going to be the cheerleader for me all the time. They're not going to be the person that is in my corner on every single thing blindly. They will be the one that says, I'm backing you, but I've got these concerns. I'm not quite sure about this, because they see things differently than you do. And that's a good thing, which then flips the script for what you were talking about earlier, of when we were kind of half joking about the struggle marriage is, but the other side of that coin is it takes you places you can't go on your own.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of the trips you go on, the experiences you have are so much better because they're with you. And you would have had a great trip to the Grand Canyon if you went by yourself. But if you go with a spouse, it's a completely different trip.
Or take your kids.
That's a fun one too. But it's realizing that marriage is designed as a mechanism to take us places we can't go on our own.
Yeah.
And there's such beauty in that, because it creates a more whole experience, because it's two better people involved in it. And when we can keep that in mind, I think it really changes what happens going forward. All right. So I'm going to jump down on the question list we've got for the sake of time. How would you know a relationship is good for you at 20? We've kind of danced around this a little bit, but what would be some factors in you and in another person that would maybe help you see that relationship would be good for you?
My first and foremost, and I never remember the citation of this verse, I believe it's in Proverbs somewhere, but it's iron sharpening iron.
Yep.
Like, is this a person who will sit me down if I'm off my rocker with some conviction in the spiritually, biblically, whatever it is, and be like, hey, you are biblically inaccurate in this, I think, or however you want to classify that. That's kind of become more of a big one for me, because it's, as I'm growing in my faith, I'm realizing I'm always growing in my faith. And being with someone who also has the drive and the desire to grow in their faith on his own individual self, but then also do it together is really, it's not something I've had before, but it's also something that's just it's important to me, because it's what you and mom raised me in. It's what I've seen you guys model. And I see that more in my community now being modeled, and I want that because it's such a foundation to life. And then just on top of that, someone who takes an interest in the things that I enjoy, not necessarily like always wanting to do them with me, but like just listen to me talk about them is is one that I really, because I talk a lot, newsflash to you, I know. And having someone who is willing to just kind of sit and listen to some mindless chatter sometimes is a refreshing thing, and something that I really desire, while also they have the skill of being like, all right, you gotta, like, sometimes you gotta rein it in, you know? But if it's just the times with the two of us, just him being able to just sit and listen to me talk, that is a quality I really enjoy. Someone who listens really well, whether it's mindless or deep conversations. I think those are kind of the two things that are, I would say I can tell a relationship is good for me, because we very often, if it's deeper conversation, can talk things out ourselves just by speaking it. And so having someone that can listen well, but also have good conversations with me, to have the hard conversations with me, is so far for me been the really good sign of a good relationship at 20.
That's good.
What would you say
at 54? It's, again, I think all of these are just degrees, right? The foundational components and pressures are still there, of pressuring each other to be the way we want the other to be, because it just makes it more comfortable for us, is a concept of humanness in a lot of ways. But it gets deeper to me. How do I know that? How do I keep a relationship right for me? Or how do I make sense of that until it's a good relationship for me? Is there's room for the both of us, that Pam being Pam is not a threat to me. Me being me is not a threat to her, because there's an evolving of who we are, who we've become, looking through the course of our marriage. It's seeing the power of the refining that's happened for both of us, It's also seeing the support and encouragement from each of us that's happened throughout the different moments, and a patience that's been there, because there's been things that mom's had to tolerate of me that until I got my act in order a little better, or there's things I had to tolerate of her until she gets her act in that regard a little more in line, you know. And so it's just, it's the challenge we can have to be honest and it not be threatening. It's dicey feeling because it's like, wait, I thought we were aligned on this. It's like, no, I don't think we are. It's like, uh-oh, you know, because then you can go to bed at night going, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
Does this mean we're doomed? Does this mean, you know, and all the catastrophic thinking comes into play rather than, hold on, what are we really dealing with? What's this real thing? What's really being challenged? What am I really holding on to? What am I missing? You know, just asking good questions of self changes everything on how I orient towards it then, which then maybe if I ask a better question, I'm dealing with a better problem, because I really believe now, sitting here 54 years in and also 24 years into doing therapy work with people, asking better questions and solving better problems is the goal.
Yeah.
It's not happiness.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's too fleeting. Joy comes along the way. And joy is even found in struggle and in grief and in trauma and all this stuff. We can find good things out of all of this because God uses his goodness to create good out of things. It's the understanding of there's something bigger going on here, and it's not just me, but it requires me to create that, to be something bigger than myself. And marriage is a great example of that. We create something together that's bigger than us, but it's also us having to do it. So it's kind of simultaneously happening.
I got a question that's not on our list that
Go.
I want to ask. It's, how do you, because I struggle with this. I have friends that kind of struggle with this mindset of like, how do you navigate when there's moments of insecurity, not within yourself, but like insecurity in the relationship? Because marriage is like, I understand it somewhat in dating, because dating is not, in the dating phase, dating is not then a permanent thing objectively. Like, we date for marriage, and that inevitably becomes permanent if you get married, but dating in and of itself is not permanent.
It's not as dire feeling, maybe.
Yeah, but there are moments that I've had when I'm having with past boyfriends or current boyfriend or hearing friends having conversations with their significant others of, you know, we're in this conflict, we're in this discussion, and like, I don't know if my relationship will last through that. What does that look like in marriage? Because there has to be conflict that you're still having in marriage that's like, I don't know how we're getting through this, but ideally you're not getting divorced over something. So what does that look like in that kind of more permanent, quote unquote?
Well, that's where you fall back on the commitment I've made of, I'm not just tossing this aside. Mm-hmm. This is a valuable covenant that I've created, that I'm a part of. But it's facing the risk, because this is, I mean, again, I think you just look at this as an arc of, it just is more intense. It's the same thing. But typically when you're facing this in marriage, there's more of you already there foundationally, because you've grown enough, you've had enough life experiences to realize, wait, I got the ability to deal with this. I can truly face some things and make some decisions and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But it still can feel incredibly dire. I mean, I see this all the time with clients of, they're caught in real huge dilemmas. They often, they ultimately will boil down to, do I stay or do I go? But it comes down to, what's my decision based out of goodness, based out of holiness, based out of commitment, based out of self-respect that I'm good with? Because most of the dilemmas we find in marriage, I'm going to go therapy for a second. Most of the dilemmas we find in marriage that we get really caught up in a gridlock is because I'm complicating things and giving up on myself in the process of facing it, rather than, okay, what's my real concern here? What's my real issue here? Let's get right down to it. What's the big thing? Well, I'm not getting what I want in that regard. Okay, is it really that big a deal? I don't know. Maybe it is, but sometimes it's really not. If I can get it boiled way, way down. I mean, there's a technique out there called the 5 whys. Right. Well, I'm concerned that we don't see eye to eye on how laundry's going to get done. This is a dating question.
Okay.
Okay, it also happens in marriage. So I'm concerned that if we won't agree on how soon the laundry needs to get done. Why? Well, because what if I run out of clothes? Why? Well, because what if I look foolish? Why? Right? So if you do it 5 times, you get deeper into this might be the crux of what I'm really concerned about, not laundry.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just if you see it in marriage, it just becomes all the more important for me to know, what am I really fighting about? Because most of the time I'm just fighting about my comfort. I'd just rather be lazy. I'd just rather be served. I'd just rather have people for things. Well, we don't get that in life. So
unless you're really, really rich.
But even that doesn't solve it.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Carson, the old Tonight Show host, rich guy, since passed, he said the only thing real wealth offers is you're never concerned about where your next meal comes from. That's it. That's all it solves. So it's understanding that when we have these dilemmas, 1, there's nothing going wrong. But 2, what am I really fighting about? And yes, it is still really dire, girl. I mean, it is. Just like in dating. Dating has a greater likelihood of, I don't think, if I don't have the courage to actually bring up honestly what my concern is, then that tells me a lot about the relationship at a current state. Well, same thing with marriage. It tells me a lot about me in this current state, that I'm too concerned about being honest. Why? Well, what if why? You just kind of do the same thing. And if you can drill into that, you start to see this is what the dilemmas really are that we're facing, because every marriage has them. Every relationship will have them. We just figure out how to kind of work with them. And then also not at the expense of all the other good that we do have. Because that's the beauty of what marriage actually is you just become better because you create something better too. And that looks really, really good. But dating's kind of the same thing. Tell me if I'm wrong, that you got the little hiccups and spats and the little things that are misunderstanding, or those that are like, dang, and then it feels real dire because the emotions are just right on the surface. Right. But then after time passes and you get a little bit of perspective, you realize, wait a second, I still like them. He's still a good guy. He listens to me, all these different things. Like, that's why I'm in this. Well, just go deeper. It's the same thing. Okay. Any other thing else before we land this ship today?
And then I can think
because this has been fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I think this is just one of those, the hope would be for the nation that 2 different perspectives of wherever you are in your relationship, you can see that the dynamic of what we're facing in marriage is the same as in dating. Because we're still involved, right? There's some common denominators in all of this thing. And so however you took some time out to spend with us today, City, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Yeah. You're home on spring break. It's a chance I can get to hang out with you a little bit longer. I'm good with that. Well, this has been Sexy Marriage Radio. If we've got something undone, let us know. 214-702-9565 or feedback at sexymarriageradio.com. We'll hope to see you next time.